Hello, beautiful, and Happy New Year from This Domesticated Diva. Today, I wanted to kind of walk you through this slow start to the year I've had. I really have spent a lot of time reflecting back on 2022 so that I can make my intentions and choose my word for 2023. So if you stay tuned in this video, you are gonna get to know my one little word of the year and hopefully feel encouraged as you step into this new year. But first, let's go down and make ourselves a latte. You with me? To start, we put in 1 cup of water in a saucepan over high heat. Once it comes to a boil, add in 2 cups of sugar. Here I used 1 cup coconut sugar and 1 cup organic cane sugar. Stir this until it's completely dissolved. Once it's dissolved, add 1/2 cup of finely chopped pecans and stir. Lower the heat and let this simmer without stirring for about 5 minutes. Then add in 2 teaspoons of butter and a drizzle of maple syrup. I had this blend of pure maple and agave from Trader Joe's that is an absolute favorite around here. Once the butter has completely melted, I pour the syrup over a strainer into a smaller jar. And this little guy can be stored in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. For the full recipe, be sure to check out the link to my blog in the description box below. Truly, my friend, that is so delicious. If you love that butter pecan mapley flavor, you will absolutely love this. I made it a little sweet, but that is so easy to fix. It's just simply adding a little less syrup to your coffee. This is a definite try. And on top of it, that simple syrup will stay good in your fridge for about 2 weeks, and you can use it on all sorts of things. You could use it on your pancakes, your waffles, your ice cream, whatever your heart desires. If you come up with a creative solution to use that simple syrup, make sure to tag me and let me know, okay? I just wanted to say, whether this is your first time or your 40th time here on my channel, thank you so much for being here and for taking a moment of your day and spending it with me. It just means the world to me. If you aren't already part of the fam, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button. There's even a little bell next to it. That's gonna notify you anytime there's a new video. I'm not on a super consistent schedule. I'm just gonna be totally frank there. I have 4 kids. They're my priority. I love posting content for you. I love creating, and so I will be here as much as I can in 2023. Well, I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, all the things. Really had such a wonderful time having my family home and together. This was the 2nd time in our 19 years of marriage that we haven't traveled home for the holidays. So it was a little bit strange, sometimes lonely, quiet, but also peaceful, and just a moment to cherish together as a family. So even as my kids went back to school last week, I still took a really slow easing myself into the new year. And that's for a couple of reasons. We had a very chaotic, busy, full, not in the best way, end of 2022 that left me feeling like frazzled and a little bit overwhelmed. And I really just wanted to take a moment to process all those emotions, to reflect on how the year went and what I learned from 2022. That way, when I chose my word for this year, it would be with intention and something that could carry me through the whole year. If If you guys have hung around my channel or my Instagram for any amount of time, you probably know that I choose one word every year, and that's my New Year's resolution. That's it. And it's all about the intentionality behind it. So walking into 2022, I came in with the word joy. After unpredictability over the last several years, both due to the pandemic and just crazy circumstances in our lives, I just felt like I needed to reclaim that joy and just declare it over 2022. But then when my Christian life coach asked me at the end of December what one word I thought of when I looked back on 2022, you know what? Joy wasn't it. And initially that had me feeling like a complete failure. I was like, this was the one word I went into the year with, and that's not even what comes to mind when I think of the year. But after gaining a little bit of perspective, I realized that my one little word is exactly that, an intention for the year. It doesn't mean it's a guarantee that it's going to happen, right? Also, joy may not have been the key word I think of when I look back on 2022, but that doesn't mean that it didn't play an integral part. The word that does come to mind when I think of 2022 is pivot. I felt like there were so many times that I was just thrown for a loop, that our whole life just like took a 360, and I could have sat there and like wallowed in my frustration and disappointment in the circumstances. But my husband and I kind of made a joke of it. We would literally just yell out, pivot, and just keep going. Joy isn't exactly the thing that I look back and think of when I think of 2022, but learning to pivot in those difficult circumstances helped me truly to find joy and realize that my circumstances don't have to define my joy. That's a personal choice. 2022 may not have been anything like I had dreamed of or imagined, but I can't exactly be mad at how it turned out. But enough about that. This video is about 2023, my one little word, and my hopes and dreams for this year. Are you ready to hear my one word of the year? Just imagine me playing the drumsticks here, okay? My one word for this year is elevate. Now let me explain. You might think that's a little strange, or maybe it just piques your interest and your curiosity. So let me explain why I chose this word and how I'm going to use it to intentionally walk into 2023. Since there's no way that I'm going to be able to put it as eloquently as I have thought and dreamed, I'm actually going to read a little bit of what I journaled with the word elevate, just to let you know where my mind is at, okay? So the first thing that I want to do to bring this word elevate intentionally into my year is I want to romanticize even the mundane moments of my life. Even like your morning coffee or your shower, there are things you can do to make that special. And sometimes it's just a mindset, right? Sometimes it's just the simple choice of this is a special moment and choosing gratitude in that moment. I could sit there and be thinking about how, I have to do the shower quickly before my kid wakes up from their nap, and then I gotta do this and this and this. Or I can intentionally take that moment and say, hey, I have 20 minutes of me time. And as you know, I often like to bring my coffee into my shower. I like to hang some eucalyptus above the shower head, make it a little bit more of a spa moment, a relaxing moment. Sometimes I'll turn on worship music. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast. Sometimes I will just pray and cry out to God. But I can take that simple moment, that mundane task, and turn it into just an elevated, special moment. All right, so the second way is I want to live the best version of our lives and pursue big dreams. My husband and I have just been dreaming about best case scenario, the most elevated version of our life and what that looks like. And we are just taking steps towards whatever that could be. And of course, that quote comes into mind. There's always the naysayers that say, oh, but what if you fail? What if you fall? But oh, darling, what if you fly? Right? So why not? The worst thing that could happen is it doesn't happen and we stay exactly where we are. Where we are is not a bad place, but why not shoot for the stars? So the third thing is to elevate our thoughts. Take our thoughts captive. this is one of the things that I have been working on with my coaching group, the Lookup Collective. We have been really working on getting curious about our thoughts, why they're happening, and taking those negative thoughts and turning them into something positive, being a watcher of our thoughts. And one thing that my coach Elizabeth has said to me over and over is that God thinks only the most elevated thoughts about you. And honestly, that phrase was a mindset shift for me, and that was the moment that I knew this was the word that I needed to carry me into 2023. If God thinks only the most elevated thoughts about me, I should only be thinking the most elevated thoughts about myself, about the people that I love most in my life. And I should only be thinking elevated thoughts about my life. So that is one of the things that I want to focus on this year. Another way I want to elevate my life is I want to be creating systems and rhythms in my life that make my life easier, not harder. I don't want to spend my life cleaning. I don't want to spend my life constantly feeling like I'm behind or running late or not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I also really hate doing those mundane tasks. So if I can set up systems and rhythms in my life that make it easy, that make it quick and efficient, I think those systems and rhythms are going to be key to just free up my time, free up mind space to walk into this year. And again, this is something I'm working on with my coaching group, the Lookup Collective. And if that is something that just speaks to your heart, I'd encourage you to go check them out. I will leave their website in the description box below if you want to learn more information about them at all. Okay, so this is a really simple one, but one of the ways that I felt like I could elevate just the everyday things that I do. I've talked to you guys a lot about how I do gratitude journaling. It's part of my daily rhythm, and it really just helps get my mind in the right space first thing in the morning. But one of the simple things I'm going to do is by calling it, instead of my gratitude list or gratitude journaling, it's my little miracles. Because really, all these little good things that God places in our life throughout the day, aren't they all miracles? Isn't having breath in our lungs when we wake up in the morning a miracle? Isn't having fresh air and legs that move a miracle? So just that mind shift of going from my gratitude list to my miracle list is just a way that I am elevating myself, my thoughts this year. All right, and last but not least, this one I kind of added on the tail. I actually finished my whole journaling, moved on, started thinking about something else, and this topic came up and I knew I had to add it to my list of ways to elevate 2023. And that is by decluttering and minimizing my possessions. And you may wonder how that's going to elevate my life, but I can tell you 7 years ago, we went through a huge declutter, a huge minimizing our possessions as we moved from a 1,600 square foot home to a 926 square foot apartment with 4 of us. And we got rid of over half of our possessions and then got there and realized we needed to get rid of even more. Now, what I'm finding now, 7 years later and 2 extra kids, is that we have gotten in this habit of accumulating and collecting all over again. And I kept thinking, how did we get here? We worked so hard to get rid of all the excess, to be more minimalist, and somehow we're back here. And you know what? It happens, and unless you have systems and rhythms in your life to keep yourself from accumulating all these things, it's going to be a whole big thing every time you have to do it. So that is one of the ways that I'm hoping to elevate this year. I want to create a system around less stuff that I'm bringing into my home, more stuff that I'm clearing out of my home. And by having less possessions, less things, I think it's just going to free me up to do more of the things that I just really love. How many times have I looked at my kids and been like, I don't have time to play with you because I have to clean up after your mess? What if we had less things to make a mess with? How might that give me more opportunities to actually say, yes, I can play with you right now. Yes, we can go for a walk. Yes, we can go out and play with our friends. Yes, we can get out the paint. I want to have more freedom to do those things in my life. Okay, last but not least, before we close this video out, there's one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. If you are in the process of planning your year and you haven't had a moment to reflect back on last year, I would encourage you so much to go ahead and do so. And one of the podcasts, a friend recommended this to me. It was my second time listening to it. And every time I listened to it, I literally moved to tears. It's just so powerful to me. It's called The Seasons of God, and it's a podcast by Nancy Ray, and she interviews Dr. Richard Blackaby about his book Seasons with God. And you guys, it was so powerful, and I'd encourage you to listen and see maybe what season you are in your life right now and how it can help you moving forward. One of the things that just hit so hard with me that he said in this podcast was that he feels like we are too easily satisfied in this world. For those of us who have felt a lot of shifts in our life and we've kind of changed direction, I think sometimes we can feel like we're doing it all wrong, or are we not being content at where we're at? And I think the important thing to realize is that as a follower of Christ, our calling is to follow him. And then our assignments can change throughout the course of our life. So it's okay to switch careers. It's okay to pivot and switch gears. That's all right. God created us and he put specific desires on our hearts. That's who he designed us to be. He created us. He created the whole universe. The same God that put all the stars in the sky, the stars that are so far away that it takes thousands of years for their light to even reach us. That same God must barely be able to contain himself when he thinks about all the experiences and adventures he's designed for us to experience in our life. So don't be afraid to go out there and try something new and experience it, and to dream big. Now, recently I was scrolling through Instagram and I stopped on this quote that just floored me. And it said, "If you are in a season of waiting, be prepared to receive more than you could ever ask or dream." And I was like, just really hit me in the heart and went, whoa, God, what do you have in store for our family? Initially, I didn't even realize it was biblically based, but then in a recent sermon, this verse came up and it all just tied together in one pretty little bow for me. So I want to read this to you in hopes it will encourage you. It's from Ephesians 3:20 through 21. "Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen." I hope that encourages you as you walk into 2023. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my heart and my intentions for this year. If you do like this video, it would really help me out if you just click that thumbs up button and maybe share it with a friend. I don't know, if it encouraged you, maybe it'll encourage someone else. Don't be afraid to go out there and dream and experience all that God has designed for you. Love you guys so much. I'll see you back here next time.